Hello and welcome to Dojo Live this Thursday, August 1st, 2024. My name is Kim Lantis, and it's my pleasure to be hosting another great conversation along with David Chestler. Hello, David. Good to have you again.
Thank you, Kim.
As well as Sandra Vazquez, who is the head of User Experience and Design with Encora. Sandra, thank you for joining us again here on Dojo Live.
Thank you, Kim and David. Happy to be back.
Yes, it's going to be super, super fun. So, today I'm really happy not only to be speaking to the two of you, but to kind of bring this culmination of what we've been talking about on our Hospitality Advantage Real Story of AIs in Action series. Or as David likes to put it, we're going to be talking about where the
rubber meets the road.
Absolutely, because this is redefining the traveler's journey and talking about what this looks like from the eye of the traveler, how AI has impacted hospitality. Now, before we get to that, I did want to talk about a little bit that we've touched on over these past 6 episodes. This is episode 7, because we've covered a lot. We've seen that time and time again, that AI is not a one-size-fits-all solution, which I think we'll touch on today as well. We've seen exciting examples of how AI is currently being strategically applied within hospitality. We got to speak with Martin Chevrolet at Inspire, their work that's converging the front end with the back end. We got to speak with Switchfly and all about kind of recommender systems and what that means for conversion, upsells, loyalty, and we also got to talk with Sabre and about their retail studio, really kind of looking to go beyond just the booking of a room, right? How hoteliers can be thinking about their services and other offerings in a sort of Shopify kind of way. And we also kind of looked at the juxtaposition of data and how it's really crucial for everything, but do we lock it down? Do we keep it safe? Do we share it? What do we do? And just how cloud and data are really key to making AI function. And we also did a high-tech recap, which was really great. There, I think the big takeaway was that Gen AI is not just talk anymore. It's real. Companies can use it, touch it, play with it. And it kind of just brings us to this conversation, right? How all of this put together is changing the traveler's expectations, the traveler's journey, and of course, what companies can do about it. So, Sandra, I know that you and the Encora team have done not one, but I think 2 really interesting studies lately over the past few months. One over the Gen Z traveler, the other over bleisure, that mixture of business with leisure. I just came back from GBTA, so we all know what that means. But what changes in the industry are you seeing from the customer perspective?
One of the main changes we are seeing as the increase and focus on the conveniences and seamless experience. Users want to be able to book, modify, and manage their travel plans in a very fast way with minimal effort and friction. We need to analyze how not only the travelers are changing, but also the people that are joining the workforce. In our study from the Gen Z travelers, we understand that these are people that were born with technology. For us, we were used to, calling to make a reservation or doing it on paper, and then we move and adapt to a computer and a desktop, and we found that the mobile experience was amazing. But for this new generation, they were born with mobile application. So what they're looking for is to have a seamless transition on their journey. So somebody might start the booking in the iPad because they are at home, they were watching social media, and then they had this idea of traveling, and then they need to go and grab something at the store. So they will move to the mobile application and probably join their work and move to a desktop application. So what the user are expecting is that seamless transition and effortless in terms of making things fast and easy. This open the room for technology in terms that people is not willing to spend a lot of hours in a customer service call when they can ask a ChatGPT-like solution about their main concerns. So these are one of the main things we were able to identify in our research. Also, how customers are now very focused on experiences. That is something that I really value. Very concerned in terms of sustainability. So we see the need for improving in terms of the technology, but also on the sustainable side of our solutions as well.
For sure. I mean, at GBTA, sustainability was a big buzzword. A lot of the education sessions and the concerns in the industry and there with the travel managers, of course, so who's mostly who that particular conference caters to, was all about sustainability and the ease of transition. I've got a question, and you're right. You know, I come from the generation too that's analog and digital and can remember both. And but I find myself having like some things I like to do on the small screen. I can't even say I like to do it. I will always prefer like a laptop desktop, but some functionalities I think are fine, you know, on the small screen. Like I'm WhatsApp messaging, Facebook, and different things. But if I'm going to be sending emails or certain things, it's like this is a big screen activity. Is this new generation that same way, or is that just the old parts like me?
No, we need to think that the new generation was born with mobile devices, so they are very used to it. That's something that might be very complex for us. It will be very intuitive for them. So I see myself always asking for my younger colleague, oh, how do you use TikTok? I have no idea how these features work, but for them it's intuitive. It's the same when it comes with planning a trip, when organizing with friends. There are certain features that they already expect just because of the applications that they use on their day-to-day. And something that we also identify in our research is that transformation that happened after COVID, when people started not only, when people started moving to different places to work, like nomad digitals. So they're used to also this dynamic of working and leisure at the same time. There are new requirements for hotels and accommodation. Just because people change and the way they work, the way they interact with technology is changing. And it's our responsibility to keep up with these new trends and solutions.
The idea that it's a given. David, what's your take on what you're hearing? You know, what we've talked about all throughout the series, combined with the research and ideas that Sandra's bringing. You know, what does the customer perspective mean for business?
Well, it's back to the rubber meets the road. Here's the legacy technologies of booking and availability and rates and inventory and content, all the stuff that exists in our existing world. But then you have this layer of chat GPT, conversational AI, a lot of this technology that's layering on top that's transforming the way the customer is engaging with this data. So that's the ideation that needs to go on. And how do I bring these new technologies to the forefront for both operations and for customer engagement? And what Sandra really does is help us normalize that engagement from multiple systems and data sources and similar, and bring it back into an environment that becomes easier to use, quicker to train, functionally rich, yet simple to visualize and operate. And I think that's the convergence that the companies we spoke to are focusing on, that the customers are looking for, that they're starting to see in other sectors of our industry. And marketers are starting to talk about personas. These are the people, these are the groups that we're engaging. So the millennials, the X's, you're seeing boomers even getting into this fracas where they're using technology to engage, right? So I think the opportunity of this omni-channel focus of guest engagement is still going to continue, and the technologies we're talking about are making them easier, more functionally rich, layered with experience, and optimized for the user, whatever system or screen they're engaging through, right? And I think that's exactly what we're looking for.
Yeah, this idea now of being able to do personalization at scale, at mass. I think, Sandra, we talked about this personalization buzzword. It comes around all the time. It's probably been around for decades. Are we at the cusp of actually making this a reality now?
Yeah, definitely. We are on that point. And if we think about it, we have been exposed to this technology for a long time. Not as complex as it is right now, not as rich as it is right now. But thinking about AI, perhaps, we all have used any filters. We all have used on social media. We all have, take a picture of the tag or clothes to understand what it says. If you take a picture with the iPhone, it will tell you a detailed description. So when we think from the user perspective, it is all about understanding how the journey will change, because the way people interact with technology is changing. One part is the technology itself, like Gen AI solutions, and the other one is how it is embedded into the customer experience. We all are looking for the best prices. We are looking for personalized recommendation. And we used to do it in the old way, like going to a lot of sites. But now what users want is to have this on one place, because I already provide you a lot of data. You already know a lot about myself. And we have been doing this for so long, providing all this data, that what we're looking for is just help me put it onto one place and make my journey seamless and effortless.
If I can, I think the interesting thing and the impact of AI on user experience and design, and I've got the bullets, it's making it more efficient, and the innovation of the designs are coming faster. And we talked about it, right? Analyzing the client and the prospect data is happening faster. Gaining a deeper understanding of the needs of the client is happening faster. Tailoring the products and pulling them and pricing them and being able to bring them into a global environment, even with geofencing, but that's happening faster. And personalizing that user experience, as we talked about, is now happening at the tip of the spear, at the point of acquisition, faster. So with all of that speed, with all of these various systems coming together, Sandra is having to develop a new type of design that's taking into account all of this information and presenting it and hopefully recognizing the guest, consumer, or colleague in a much faster program. That's what's happening. And how we speed that up is going to have a direct effect on the user experience. And that's where we know it's going to improve conversions. It's going to make them feel that, Sandra will tell you, I'll stop. But those are the things that I think we should highlight, how all of this is happening faster, and how UI, UX, the impact of AI, is going to make it much more efficient than just the human engagement, right? Then that's what we've been talking about. So if you could expand on that, maybe, Sandra, I think that'd be phenomenal.
Yeah, definitely. As you mentioned, the speed of things is definitely something that we are seeing in terms of now, because we have been collecting data from the users for a long time, but now it allowed us to analyze it faster. It allowed us to understand the customer in a very quick way and being able to provide very specific needs. Before, or in the past, we used to say we have these big groups of users. We have perhaps a user persona that is a mom that is traveling with the kids, and we are having solo travelers that want to explore the city. But right now we can be as deeper and saying we have this family that have these specific needs, and the dad just broke his arm, so we need some special accommodation. That is something that with technology right now we can gather all the data out there and provide rooms or hotels that have these very specific requirements for these deeper user personas. So that is something that we have had this data for a long time, but now the technology allowed us to provide results on different search that will have all these layers or personalization.
Wow. So is technology being used? What ways are you, as a UX researcher, designer, are you and your teams utilizing technology to come up with these personas or these endless personas, or as a way to decide which are the priorities and, marketing efforts and whatever else? I mean, not just from the eye of the traveler and what they're expecting in terms of, having everything seamless, having everything in one place, having it be mobile friendly, Are you utilizing these tools as well in your research to do it faster?
Yeah, definitely. When we talk about AI, it's not only about the end traveler or the industry itself, but it's changing the way we all do our work and interact with technology. So we are using a lot of AI tools to gather information, to analyze information as well, all the way all to we have been exploring also to do some UI with AI, Gen AI solutions. It has been really fun. I think it expedites the process and help designers focus on more complex issues. But for us at Encora, a user-centric approach is the approach that we have when it comes to building solutions. So something that we are also doing is prototyping and doing user testing with AI-driven features to understand how to take are received by the end user. Because we know that we will have different solutions, but we wanted to explore how this will be embedded into the user journey. How will they interact with this new feature? How will voice play a new role on the way we experience a mobile application? So we are doing a lot of prototyping and testing, A/B testing also to understand the performance of these AI features versus the traditional way, and collaborating with different stakeholders into defining the AI solutions. How can we start integrating into the existing systems?
That's interesting. I heard you say the word fun, which is super cool because I remember we had several episodes, I think even in our first series, David, that we got to do together, one of the words that was associated with AI was scary. And so it's incredible. And it wasn't Sandra's word, but I think even over the course of how many weeks, months has it been? Just a few. Now we went from scary to fun, which I think is a phenomenal transition. And to keep just this in mind, I think even on that high tech recap show, we got to speak with Frank Trampert of Sabre, and some of his takeaways from high tech, and I thought this was really good words of wisdom, was he said, and I will quote, "Not every AI technology is good at everything. So we need to take the time to learn what they're good at." He mentioned Microsoft's Copilot for coding, ChatGPT for interactive conversation, for example, and utilize different methods with different technology sets across the organization and test internally, right, to see where you can get the biggest applicability and the best outcomes. So I think that goes really in line with what you're saying. Do you happen to have any favorite kind of tools, or what does this? You mentioned testing with the end user as well, but what tips might you have in terms of really getting to the eye of the traveler and making? There's no guarantee, but helping it to be as successful as it can be.
Do you mean tools in terms of the tools that we are using?
Yeah.
One of the favorites among the team is Midjourney. It allows you to kind of brainstorm a lot of UI and image solutions. So it allowed us to, if we are trying to envision a new UI, it allowed us to kind of see a lot of varieties and experiment within and test them in terms of seeing what will work best. Also, there is a lot of tools in terms of once we do the research, how to analyze all that data, because we have a bunch of data. Dovetail is one of the tools that we have also been using for a long time, and they are incorporating AI features, and they have been really interesting to play with. I think at the beginning, when all this Gen AI started, popping out and becoming more popular, people were really scary. Oh, is it going to take off my jobs? But what we have seen is that it's improving, and it's taking away of these very peculiar tasks that nobody wants to do, so we can focus on solving bigger problems.
Letting the job be more fun.
Yeah, definitely.
You hope, right?
You hope. Let's kind of take it back to the eye of the traveler. Now, David, I know that you travel very often. Mostly, I'm guessing in the work capacity, the leisure, but for fun as well. Let's just kind of take it back to what we're seeing in terms of the AI usage. We talked about mobile and like the devices itself, but what other technologies might the travelers be expecting, or what do you kind of foresee happening on other applications? I think we threw out this idea of, we talked about search already a little bit. We mentioned chatbots. Anything else? Like what's in the
Well,
future?
yeah, there's, facial recognition and things of that nature, where computer vision is going to be very helpful. Translation and having access to even there are companies like Vocera where you could touch your lapel and you could get a colleague to translate in a conversation through that device. I could see a lot of that type of engagement, making the guest and an area we think very important is wayfinding. One of my friend colleagues, as we have an aging populace, sending them out to an Uber stand that might be a lot more steps than you think. And if they have some ailment, MS, or some similar type challenge, wayfinding and going up and down escalators and around corridors, and unless you have good signage and good tracking and things of that nature, those are going to be very important. And AI with chatbots and a lot of this can be automated. So I think, there's going to be a continued investment in guest engagement, and how that is going to be translated from the legacy platforms and systems we have in the market. Remember, we're not far out of COVID and the zombie apocalypse that shut down everything and also reduced the cash flow. So the investment and capital flows were restricted, and that changed how you pay for some of these technologies. And I think that again is coming full circle to understand, how do we budget? How do we pay for these enhancements? How do we make them relevant and contextual, yet we don't want to jump the shark, as us old timers used to remember, do something that's a huge project that will take years to transform. We need these iterative, staged, funded changes, transformations, like lift and shift, that transforms to the cloud, that enables the data exchanges and more of that recognition and personalization. We're still at the very beginning of that. So we talk about of where we're going. I think more companies, more organizations, more hospitality service companies will continue to evolve to add this into it. I think healthcare, wellness is going to continue to be a part of that, and how we track the wellness and I guess credential the guests so that we're able to service them and support them by their preferences. That's a big focus and will continue. So machine learning, AI, and the components of AI, conversational AI, including chat and ChatGPT, so that I'm able to bring you into my call center or into a engagement with the expensive humans at a better stage, more qualified. That's continuing, and that's where I see the investment continuing, and where Sandra's huge value in that UI UX experience to bridge that legacy to digital is going to be so transformative.
Absolutely. And we talked earlier in the show just about how not every AI technology is the same when we want to utilize it, when we're building out technologies or looking for ways to service our guests. And then in that same way, not every AI technology that we want to implement is necessarily going to be useful for us, or we need to maybe choose what's going to make the best impact. And throughout that traveler journey, and I know that traveler journey has several different steps within it, with this journey that's changing, Sandra, what advice would you have for companies in terms of being able to sort of pinpoint a good starting place, or to kind of choose what's going to make the most impact for their guests as well as themselves, right, as a business?
Yeah, I think understanding the journey of your specific users and your specific customers. There are cases where the inspiration part is very important. So all the technology will go there in terms of how do you understand your customers and what does it go through their mind and their needs they have before committing to a booking or committing to a purchase. And in other companies, there will be a lot, they will have a lot to do with the past experience, what they already make a purchase or they did the booking. There might be some Q&As on a lot of customer service that needs to be done. So I think that the first step is to understand what is the journey that your customers go through and identify the key points. What are the lower satisfaction on that journey? And then we can then look at the technology and see how we solve. So at the end, we need to go back to where are the pain that my customer is having, and then we can identify how do we integrate technology in that. One of the things that we don't want to do is just to bring technology because it's fun and it is good, and then don't solve any problems. But if we solve a specific problem that people is having, then we can then incorporate technology, and the results will be conversion, engagement, and all the things that we as companies wanted to have.
Perfect. Are this, you know, that AI washing that we've talked about many, many times here with David and the Provision team for sure, and how to prevent that with design-led thinking and others. Do you foresee the traveler journey changing in terms of those steps, you know, starting with inspiration and then the choice making and then the booking and then the actual trip itself? And then is there anything, is that a constant? Is that just going to be staying the same forever and ever? Or do you think that there might be new steps added or some that will eventually do away with?
I think it will be enriched. Like perhaps when we talk about inspiration and if we think of the old days, meaning when I was planning my trips, when I was maybe in college or something like that, you will get the inspiration from a blog post, or you will get then social media arrive and you will get the inspiration from social media. And then when you wanted to decide whether to book this hotel or this other hotel, you will go and look at the reviews. Right now, there are companies that are using immersive reality to show how is the hotel, how is the room. So it's not like it changes, but it's enriching each steps. The same way when you were doing the check-in, you used to need to go at the desk at the office or at the airport to do your check-in. Now you're used to do it on the mobile application. So I think the big categories will still there, but how people do it because of technology will change, and how alternatives you have now, it will also change. Some will go away. I see very few people doing any reservation via phone call, but everybody's doing it via internet or mobile application. So I think it will change um, how how the customer interact on that specific part of the journey.
Yeah, I think Sandra's getting it right. It really varies, and it's when you start to look at the customer and who the end customer is, that's what's going to drive it. You're a very different traveler, Kim, when you were going to GBTA than when you're going on vacation with the kids, right? And I think the idea is, can we use the AI intelligence to help bias your searching and preferencing as you're in each of those modes?
Yeah.
Just
Which
like
mode am I in? Which Kim is it today?
just like when you use one of those rideshare apps and you designate personal or business, just like when you're using your airline browser app and you're looking at leisure or business, right? Leisure is a new category which has a different persona. Digital nomads, as Sandra was talking about, that's a persona in itself that marries with leisure. And maybe I'm reselling my suites to more of these leisure travelers because they're staying longer, want to work and play, versus sitting at a nightstand with my laptop trying to do a call. I have more space and I'm able to engage and then get down to the kids at the beach, pool, spa, golf course, or experience. And that creates a much richer lifestyle for all of us, including the operators. Because now, instead of a suite sitting empty, it can be utilized for a week, 10 days, if priced properly. And that's where the dynamism of machine learning and that open data exchange internally and ultimately where we could exchange beyond, that's where we're aspiring to, right? And I think that's what we're all looking to do to help on the ideation side of it so that we could come back to Sandra and team, right? And say, here's the defined requirements of the organization. Here's what they want to deploy. Here's their vision. Here's their budget. Here's their timeline. And here's the function that they're looking for. Let's now overlay a plan for their change management to achieve that. And that collaboration, I think, will enable our customers, as we've seen, to move much farther and faster to their realization of the technology and the vision, right? And that's where our collaboration is consultants and software integrators and designers. And that's where we help our customers move faster, right?
Absolutely. You did a really nice summary there, David, in terms of how
Sorry.
this series, no, it's amazing how we've come to the end of this kind of series with this full circle. You mentioned the ideation, the laying out kind of the architecture, releasing it, the quality assurance we touched on a little bit, optimizing and coming all back again. Any final words of wisdom, Sandra, from you in terms of when we're driven by our customer needs and how can we help those customers, but our partners, clients, the industry really think differently about the future and this new sort of traveler journey?
I will encourage people to have this mindset of experimentation, of going out there and saying what I don't know about my customers or how my customers changing, and then try them on an agile way, try them on a scalable way. But at the end, the more we experiment with this technology and put solution in front of users is when we will actually learn if it works or if it doesn't work. So it really resonates with me what David say, that we don't want to spend a lot of time, 2-3 years building something and then seeing if it's going to work. But with the advances in technology, we can create POCs, we can create MVPs, put them there and see how these evolve with the user feedback and perspective.
Test, fail, right? And then what happens when you succeed, right? You still have to measure and track. So
yeah.
Yep, it's the same story of just I love it. I love it. Experimentation. I think that's a really great way to wrap up today's episode. David, thank you so much for your time once again. Sandra, it's always a pleasure learning from you as well. Several of these studies that were mentioned, the way in which Encora can sort of help companies as do their change management, as David had alluded to, where might they get access to this information or speak to you if they'd like to start a conversation?
Yeah, definitely. If you go to encora.com/travel, you will be able to find the reports of this research that we talk about. Also, reach out via either LinkedIn or social media. Travel really excites me in terms of the industry and things that are going on. So always happy to talk about what are things that we have been discovering.
Perfect. And David, likewise for you and your team, how you at Provision Partners can help with this change management and laying out that roadmap. Where should they start?
All you got to do is call. We've
Come
got our
on now,
Provision.
David. You don't have to pick up a phone.
No, never. Provision Partners, LinkedIn. We attend a number of different events and similar. So there's always access to us, and we love talking with people. So thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. No, and to our audience, we will see you next Thursday. That's August 8th for our recap with David and others as we bring all of this, the Hospitality Advantage series, together. And then, of course, you need to keep your eye open for the third series because there's going to be a third and a fourth and a 10th and who knows, right? But until then, stay safe, everyone, and have an amazing rest of your week and weekend. Bye for now.